There is a law in the universe that operates with the precision of gravity, a law that governs success and failure just as surely as night follows day. Yet most people pass through life without ever becoming aware of it. This law, my friend, is the reason the rich keep getting richer and the poor remain trapped in quiet desperation. You've heard it said, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. But what if I told you that this is not merely a cynical observation, but the result of an invisible pattern, a thought structure that shapes your reality like a sculptor shapes clay? Sit down with me for a moment, still your doubts. Silence the noise. Let us enter the realm of cause, not effect. Let us begin with a truth so simple, so elemental, that it has escaped the notice of the masses. We do not attract wealth because we work hard. We attract wealth because we think like it already belongs to us. Let me tell you a story. There were once two young men who grew up in the same town, went to the same school, and even studied the same books on finance and success. One believed money was scarce, hard-earned, and dangerous. The other believed money was abundant, a tool for freedom and a reward for vision. 10 years later, one was broke, bitter, and blaming the system. The other had built an empire. What was the difference? Not intelligence, not effort, but mental orientation. The internal compass that decides what direction you walk before you even move your feet. And this compass is built in the dark, in your beliefs. The poor, and I do not say this with judgment, but with precision, live in a cycle of reaction. They see the lack in their bank account and feel fear. That fear leads to small decisions, temporary choices, and hesitation. And hesitation is the death of wealth. The rich, on the other hand, think in terms of expansion. They do not see their bank account as their reality. They see their vision as their truth. They use imagination like a map. They expect returns not because they are arrogant, but because they are certain that life bends to will. This certainty is not arrogance. It is a mental state built through repetition, belief, and unwavering desire. And here comes the shocking truth. The rich keep getting richer not because of luck, but because they have learned how to build and protect an idea until it becomes inevitable. Do you know what that means? It means money is a byproduct of mental clarity, not toil. Wealth is attracted, not chased. And what you chased runs away. The man who seeks riches as if they are running from him will always be tired, frustrated, and empty-handed. But the man who radiates the energy of abundance, who walks, speaks, and thinks as if he already holds the gold, will attract it effortlessly. You may say, but that sounds like fantasy. I tell you, this fantasy is the seed of every fortune. The skyscraper was once a thought. The empire was once a dream. The million was once an idea believed in so powerfully it pulled itself into form. Let us go deeper. There is something called wealth consciousness. It is not merely positive thinking. It is not affirmation stuck on mirrors. No, my friend, wealth consciousness is a living frequency, a state of being where you no longer beg life for riches, but expect them, prepare for them, welcome them like a long-lost guest. Most people never train their mind to hold wealth. They treat money like a stranger, like a thief who may disappear at any moment. But the wealthy, they treat money like a loyal friend, a partner in creation. And what you trust stays with you. What you fear flees from you. That's the hidden engine of wealth. Let me ask you a question. If I gave you $1 million today, but your internal world was full of fear, lack, and guilt, how long would you keep it? You know the answer. Wealth cannot live in a house built on fear. That's why you see lottery winners go brokey and entrepreneurs go from bankrupt to billionaires. Because it's not what you hold in your hand that matters, it's what you hold in your head. Now listen closely. This is where everything begins to change for you. Money doesn't make you rich. Thought does. The thoughts you allow, the beliefs you accept, the identity you wear, these are the roots from which your financial tree grows. You must see yourself as the source. Not your job, not the economy, not luck. You are the cause. Money is the effect. In this moment, you are building your future fortune. Not with effort, but with alignment. Alignment to the laws of the universe that Napoleon Hill wrote about. The law of desire, the law of faith, the law of definite purpose. These are not just ideas. They are mechanics, precision tools. Use them, and the universe will rearrange itself to serve you. Ignore them, and no amount of work will ever save you. That is why the rich keep getting richer. because they are not building wealth from effort alone. They are building it from thought mastery. They know what they want. They believe they deserve it. They see it before it exists. They act as if it is already theirs. And the universe, obedient as always, delivers. So I leave you now with this question: what do you truly believe you deserve? Not what you hope for, not what you wish for, but what you believe, deep down, is possible for you. That belief is your ceiling, and no amount of ambition can break through a ceiling you've built in your own mind. Tear it down. The journey has just begun. In the quiet hours of the morning, before the world demands your attention, before the noise of opinions and fear and deadlines begins to shout, there is a sacred space. It is in this stillness where the rich build their empire. Not in the bank, not on the trading floor, not in the marketplace, but in the mind. For before the castle rises, the blueprint must be drawn. And the rich, they never forget to draft their mental blueprint before they lay a single brick. Now listen to me closely. Most people spend more time planning a weekend trip than they do designing the life they want. That is not only tragic, it is fatal to wealth. Let's break this open. You see, your mind is programmable, just like a machine, just like software. But unlike software, your mind doesn't just obey instructions. It creates your entire perception of what's possible. Now imagine this. A man wakes up each day believing, I'll never be rich. The system is against me. People like me don't make it. That belief will color every decision he makes. He will shrink from risk. He will avoid the unknown. He will sabotage every opportunity, not because he is weak, but because his programming tells him wealth is not for him. Meanwhile, another man wakes up and thinks, wealth is my duty. I am a magnet for opportunity. The world bends for those who decide. Now tell me, which of these two will attract more success? Which one will walk into a room with power? Which one will see doors where others only see walls? The answer is obvious. But what isn't obvious, and what most never understand, is that this mindset is not inheriting, it is installed. The rich don't just think differently. They train themselves to think differently. They are architects of belief. And belief is the root of every result. So how do they do it? They begin with clarity. They do not hope for money vaguely. They define it. They put numbers to it, dates to it, purpose to it. They ask, how much wealth do I want? Why do I want it? Who will I become in the process? Because without clarity, desire is just noise. It's like trying to navigate a city with no map and no destination. But the rich, if they move with definite purpose, just as I once wrote, that clarity becomes obsession. That obsession becomes energy. And energy, when focused, becomes results. Let me show you something profound. There's a reason most people plateau in life. It's because they are mentally programmed for maintenance, not expansion. They think, how do I keep what I have? The rich think, how do I multiply what I have tenfold? One mindset plays defense. The other plays offense. And that difference, though invisible, is why wealth flows in one direction. Because life gives you not what you want, but what you are willing to embody. The rich are not just willing. They are prepared. They have heard success. They have rehearsed success in their mind and times before it shows up in the real world. That is why when opportunity knocks, they answer without hesitation, because they saw it coming. Let's go deeper. There is a technique I call mental rehearsal, and it's no fantasy. Olympic athletes use it. Visionary CEOs use it. Master creators use it. You sit, you breathe, you visualize, not as a dreamer, but as a builder. You see the money in your account. You hear the sound of your clients saying yes. You feel the leather seats of the car you earned. You see your product selling, your influence rising, your confidence growing. And you do this every day until your nervous system begins to accept this new reality as normal. Because once it becomes normal in the mind, it becomes magnetic in the world. But be warned, the world will not celebrate this. Society trains you to think small, to fit in, to lower your voice, to fear wealth, to feel guilty about wanting more. But the rich, they reject that conditioning. They are not greedy, they are awake. They know that poverty helps no one, that you cannot give from an empty cup, that your wealth is not selfish. It is service multiplied. Because money in the hands of the conscious becomes a tool for transformation. That's why the rich get richer. Not only because they think differently, but because they unlearn everything the poor have been taught. They unlearn fear. They unlearn guilt. They unlearn the myth that life is fixed, that destiny is sealed, that success belongs to someone else. And in that unlearning, they become free. You must do the same. Every belief that doesn't serve your wealth must be uprooted, and every thought that supports your abundance must be planted daily. Think of your mind as a garden. Neglect it, and weeds grow. Tend to it, and fruit appears. The rich tend to it every single morning. They read. They affirm. They surround themselves with voices that elevate them, not voices that drain them, because proximity is power. If you walk with 5 broke, bitter people, you will be the 6th. If you surround yourself with 5 focused, driven, wealthy minds, you rise, not by force, but by resonance. So ask yourself this: what is my dominant thought about money? Do I believe it is good or bad, abundant or scarce, available or impossible? Because the rich are rich not just because they own assets, but because they own the beliefs that create assets. Their most valuable possession is not in a vault. It's in their mind. Let me end this part with a truth that changed my life. You don't get rich by chasing money. You get rich by becoming the kind of person money chases. Be that person. Start now, not tomorrow. Not when the economy improves. Not when you feel ready. But now, in this moment, where power lies. Because every moment is either programming you for wealth or poverty. Choose wisely. The next level of this journey awaits. There's a silent poison that lives in the minds of millions. It hides behind modesty. It dresses itself in phrases like, just enough, I don't need much, and money isn't everything. It disguises itself as virtue, but in reality, it's a thief. This poison is called scarcity, and if you don't uproot it, if you don't confront it and break its spell, it will steal not only your wealth, but your future. Let me tell you what they never taught you in school. Scarcity is not a condition of the world. It is a condition of the mind. The world, my friend, is overflowing with opportunity, with energy, with wealth waiting to be claimed. There is more money in circulation today than at any point in human history. Trillions flow through systems every single day. New markets open. New technologies emerge. People become millionaires while you sleep. So if money is everywhere, why does it feel so hard to get? Because you've been hypnotized, conditioned, programmed to see limitation where there is abundance. Let me repeat this. You were trained to believe in lack. When you were young, you may have heard money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. We can't afford that. It's selfish to want more. These weren't just words. They were seeds, and those seeds grew roots, and those roots became walls, and those walls became your financial prison. But now you are waking up, and waking up is the first step to wealth. Let me give you a truth that will make the scarcity mindset shatter like glass. There is no virtue in poverty. Let that sink in. You do not serve the world by playing small. You do not help the hungry by being broke. You do not change your family's legacy by settling. Poverty teaches you to survive. Wealth teaches you to create. The rich understand this. They do not apologize for abundance. They do not flinch when opportunity calls. They do not feel guilty for playing big, because they know this truthing: the more you have, the more you can give. But scarcity makes you shrink. It makes you believe that success is a pie, and if someone else has a big slice, there's less left for you. That's a lie. Wealth is not a pie. It's a flame, and the more people who light their candle with it, the brighter the world becomes. This is why the rich keep getting richer. Not just because they have more money, but because they have freed themselves from the illusion of limitation. They think expansively, generously. They think long-term. And most importantly, they believe wealth is their birthright, not their burden. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. A person with a scarcity mindset says, I can't afford that. That's too expensive. I'm not lucky like them. It's probably a scam. Money always disappears. A person with an abundance mindset says, how can I afford that? What value must I create to earn this? If someone else can do it, so can I. Opportunities are everywhere. Money flows to me when I solve problems. See the difference. One closes the door before it even opens. The other asks questions that create doors. Now here's the dangerous thing about scarcity. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It shows up as hesitation, as playing it safe, as procrastination. as not investing in yourself, as mocking the rich instead of learning from them. Scarcity is sneaky. But once you see it, you can destroy it. How? By choosing expansion, even when it feels uncomfortable. You break the scarcity spell every time you do something your old self would have avoided. Every time you invest in learning instead of spending on distractions. Every time you move toward a goal instead of waiting for the right time. Every time you speak abundance instead of fear. The spell breaks when you stop worshiping security and start walking toward freedom. Now let me tell you something the rich understand deeply. Money is not the root of evil. The love of limitation is. Because when you fear wealth, you reject the very thing that could amplify your purpose. There's no power in being broke. There's no honor in never asking for more. There's only wasted talent, wasted potential, wasted time. And the wealthy, they refuse to waste time because they know time is the one thing money cannot buy back. So they invest it wisely. They plant seeds in business, in mindset, in relationships that multiply over years. They play the long game. And while the poor think in terms of survival, days, hours, paychecks, the rich think in decades. They ask, what foundation am I building? What legacy am I leaving? How can I make money work for Meg instead of trading my life for it? This is the real reason the rich get richer. Not because of cheating or shortcuts or luck, but because they are playing a completely different game with completely different rules. And the first rule is this: destroy the scarcity mindset, or it will destroy your future. So here's what I want you to do starting today. Speak the language of abundance. Stop saying, I can't. Start asking, how can I? And I invest in yourself. Every dollar you put into your mind multiplies into thousands in your life. Surround yourself with wealthy thinkers. Leave the echo chamber of limitation. Walk into the room of visionaries. Take calculated risk. Scarcity makes you freeze. Abundance makes you move. Action breaks fear. Visualize wealth unapologetically. If you can't see it in your mind, you'll never hold it in your hand. The spell is lifting now. Do you feel it? The illusion is fading. Your old programming is cracking. You were never meant for limitation. You were born to expand, to multiply, to rise. So rise with boldness, with hunger, with belief that you were made for more. And in doing so, you'll realize what the rich have known all along. Wealth is not a privilege. It is a mindset, and now it's yours to claim. Let me ask you something powerful. Have you ever sabotaged your own success? Walked away from a deal at the last second? Procrastinated on a project you knew could change your life? Told yourself, I'm not ready, even though deep down you were? If the answer is yes, you're not alone. Most people don't fail because of the world outside. They fail because of the war within. And that war is between two voices, the voice of possibility and the voice of programming. You see, wealth isn't just about what you do. It's about what you believe you deserve. And if your inner world is infected with shame, guilt, or fear around money, you will reject abundance even when it's right in front of you. Let me repeat that. You will repel wealth if you believe you're unworthy of it. Because the subconscious mind, your inner gatekeeper, doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you expect. Think of your mind as a thermostat. If you're set at 68 degrees of financial self-worth and you suddenly earn a windfall, say $50,000, that's 90 degrees. Guess what happens? You start to self-sabotage. You overspend. You accidentally lose it. You get overwhelmed and back away. You unconsciously bring your reality back down to the level of your identity. That's why lottery winners go broke. That's why entrepreneurs who hit it big often crash. That's why raises don't make people rich. They just inflate lifestyle, not self-image. Because without a new inner identity, the outer wealth cannot stay. This is the part of the truth that stings, but also sets you free. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. So if you want to become wealthy, you must not just act like the wealthy. You must become the kind of person who naturally attracts and sustains wealth. That requires inner reprogramming. It requires you to find and destroy the beliefs that have held you hostage for years. I'm not smart enough. People like me don't get rich. If I succeed, I'll lose my friends. I'll be judged if I have too much. Money changes people, but not for the better. These aren't facts. They're fears. And fears, when not faced, become destiny. Now let me tell you what the wealthy do differently. They don't avoid their limiting beliefs. They confront them. They don't try to earn their way out of poverty alone. They first think their way out. They sit with their shadows, the envy, the shame, and the inherited stories. And they rewrite the narrative. Because until you fix the inner script, your outer life will always echo the same broken patterns. Let me show you how powerful this internal shift really is. There was a man I once mentored. He was brilliant, talented, hardworking, but he kept hitting a wall. Every time he'd get close to financial success, something would derail him. He'd get sick. His car would break down. A client would cancel. He'd freeze up and stop showing up. He thought he had a bad luck curse. But I knew the truth. I asked him one question: what do you believe will happen if you get rich? Then he went silent. Then he whispered, my family will resent me. They'll say I changed. There it was, the real block, not lack of skills, not bad luck, but fear of rejection. He believed wealth would cost him love, so he kept choosing poverty to keep the peace. And once we rewired that, once he saw that he could lead by example instead of shrinking, he began to rise. Within a year, he was earning 10x what he had before. That's the secret. No one wants to talk about wealth is not a financial game. It is a spiritual initiation. It will challenge your beliefs. It will force you to outgrow your old identity. It will trigger your fears about being seen, about standing out, about being powerful. But if you lean in, if you refuse to turn away, you will emerge not just richer, but reborn. Here's what I want you to understand deeply. Every result in your life is routed in a belief. And every belief is either a lock or a key. The poor believe money is survival. The rich believe money is a tool to build, to serve, to grow. The poor believe there's not enough. The rich believe in infinite creation. The poor believe wealth makes you bad. The rich believe wealth reveals who you truly are. And so I ask you, what do you believe? Because if your beliefs are rooted in fear, fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of being too much, they will strangle every opportunity before it breathes. But if your beliefs are rooted in courage, in purpose, in deserving, then doors will open in places you never imagined. Now, let's get practical. How do you start changing these inner beliefs? Here's a process the wealthy use. Even if they don't talk about it, one. Awareness. Start noticing every thought you have about money. Write them down. You'll be shocked by how negative many of them are. I'll never get ahead. It's too late for me. People like me just don't win. These aren't you. These are echoes of your past. 2, interruption when you catch a limiting thought. Stop it. Say, no, that's not my truth anymore. This breaks the autopilot of your programming. 3, replacement. Now replace it with an empowering belief. I create wealth by becoming more valuable. On every day, money flows to me as I serve others. I am worthy of wealth, love, and freedom. It will feel fake at first. That's normal, but repetitions lies into truth, so use that power for good. 4, environment. Surround yourself with people, books, content, and mentors who live at the level you aspire to. Environment shapes identity. Identity shapes belief. Belief shapes destiny. The rich get richer not just because of compounding money, but because of compounding identity. Each level of wealth demands a stronger version of you, more disciplined, more visionary, more free. And if you don't evolve your wealth, your will evaporate. But if you do evolve, if you rewire your mind from fear to abundance, then you won't just get rich, you'll become unstoppable. You've made it this far. And now you're ready for the final truth. The reason the rich keep getting richer isn't just luck or leverage or legacy. It's something far more powerful, something almost magical, something the poor often never tap into, because they're stuck fighting over scraps. The truth is this: the wealthy understand the LABUOF expands on. They don't just make money. They create it from nothing but imagination, vision, and execution. They don't wait for opportunity. They generate it. They don't react to life. They architect it. Let's break this down. What does expansion actually mean? Expansion is the process by which something becomes more than it was before. In money terms, expansion means turning an idea into value, turning value into income, and turning income into assets that work while you sleep. The poor are stuck trading time for money, but the wealthy, They multiply value. And value doesn't come from having more time. It comes from thinking differently. Let me give you a powerful example. There was once a man who sold tires for a living. He worked hard, long hours, average pay, no freedom. Until one day he asked himself a different question. What if I stop just selling tires and start selling safety? That shift in thinking, from product to value, changed everything. He redesigned his sales approach. He began marketing to parents, emphasizing how safe tires could protect their children. He partnered with local schools, creating awareness programs. He positioned himself not as a vendor, but a trusted advisor. Within 18 months, he was earning 7x what he made before. Same business, different mindset. That is the law of expansion in action. Now, here's the most shocking truth of all money is a byproduct. Not the goal. The rich don't chase money. They chase impact. And because they focus on impact, they create systems, services, and solutions that people are eager to pay for. They understand that the world rewards value creation, not effort alone. You can work yourself into the grave and still stay broke. But if you find a way to solve a painful problem or fulfill a burning desire, you'll never go hungry. But here's what really separates things. They don't think linearly. They think exponentially. Most people ask, how can I make $1,000 this month? The rich ask, how can I build something that generates $1,000 a day without me? They build businesses instead of just jobs, assets instead of just income, teams instead of just tasks, systems instead of stress, because they know if your income depends on your time, your freedom is an illusion. Let's talk about leverage, the secret weapon of the rich. There are 4 kinds of leverage the wealthy use. 1, people, they delegate what drains them and focus only on high-value decisions. 2, systems, they automate repetitive work, freeing their energy to scale. 3, money, they invest, allowing capital to earn while they sleep. 4, code and media, they use digital tools. Videos, software, content that work 247 without asking for lunch breaks. That's how someone can record a 10-minute video and earn from it for 10 years. That's how someone can build a course, write a book, or launch a platform and reach thousands or millions without lifting a finger. This is wealth that scales beyond time. But none of this is possible if your mind is still trapped in survival mode. And that's why most people never escape the rat race. They never stop long enough to zoom out, to ask better questions, to challenge their assumptions, to see themselves not as labor, but as creators, creators of ideas, of energy, of movements, of legacies. So what must you do? You must stop asking, what's the safe path? And start asking, what's the path of expansion? Because expansion is never safe. It requires risk, exposure, discomfort. But it's the only way to rise. The poor shrink when they feel fear. The rich expand in spite of it. They use fear as fuel, not as a cage. They understand that every next level of income requires a next level of identity. They are students of growth. They are obsessed with evolution. They are relentless in their self-reinvention. And now it's your turn. It's time to stop waiting for permission, to stop apologizing for your ambition, to stop hiding your gifts just to make others comfortable. This world needs dreamers who execute, leaders who serve, and builders who create not just for today, but for generations. If you want to know why the rich keep getting richer, it's not because they're lucky. It's because they've mastered the inner game, the outer tools, and the unshakable belief that value flows through them. Not just to them. They've made peace with being powerful, with being visible, with being responsible. And now so must you. Let me leave you with this. You were not born to just survive. You were born to expand your thinking, expand your circle, expand your influence, expand your impact. And in doing so, you will find that money is not the prize. You are. Your mind, your voice, your energy, your power to choose, to build, to rise. So rise, because wealth is not just a number. It is a mirror reflecting who you have chosen to become.